Hello, everyone. Today is a special day. It's a pleasure for us to be here with you this week to sharing and getting knowledge about data transformation, and we'll show you our approach to sharing and democratizing data, not only internally, but also outside the company using data sharing technology. My name is Fabio. I've been working in Bradesco since 2016.
And I'm Pedro. I help to lead the analytics at Open Banking project in Bradesco.
Well, to start, it's fundamental to know where we came from. Bradesco is a Brazilian bank with more than 80 years of experience. It was founded in 1943 in the city of Marília, state of São Paulo. In this image, you can see our first branch. At that moment, our initial strategy aimed to attract small traders, civil servants, and people with modest means, unlike the other banks which only cared for wealthy customers. Since the beginning, we have always believed in innovation, in using this strategy to stay competitive in the market. In the 70s, we were the first company in Latin America to buy a computer. And in the 90s later, we had already expanded our online services, mobile banking, and ATMs all over Brazil. Now, we're living in a big data and cloud revolution. Everything now is about data. After all, data is the new oil, or bacon if you prefer. These AI-generated images are an excellent example that illustrates this moment we are living in. Can you imagine transforming a sentence into images 5 years ago in few seconds? For example, we represent more than 1K data sets with different subjects, and of course, that's a lot of data. It will be an overwhelming task to deal with this data, this amount of an 8-year company with more than 50 million customers also. The current challenge regarding the financial sector is open banking, which means sharing customer data between financial institutions that have to innovate, creating ways to offer more dynamic and well-adjusted products in less time. The Open Banking project started in the UK some years ago and is spreading across the globe. This initiative started for different reasons around the world. In the UK and Brazil, it was created to meet regulatory compliances, while in the US, it was a market-driven approach. The Open Banking project aims to improve products and competitiveness in a financial market. It can be understood as a set of rules that enables the sharing of customer data and services between financial institutions. And of course, the data is shared only according to what customers allow and for how long they allow it. So let's dig into this concept. Many of you know this project as open banking, but in Brazil, we have overcome the limitations of just banking. Then we call it open finance. For example, we include fintechs that are not considered traditional banks. Looking into this diagram, we can see that it starts with our government regulator in Brazil, the central bank, that creates and guides this project to the whole financial system. So every financial institution must have this process enabled in their systems, which creates the need for the institutions to improve the technologies and systems and how they handle the data. Here in Bradesco, with this project, we also started exploring massively cloud solutions in practice. As a result, once your data is shared from your financial institution with Bradesco will get you know better and will be able to provide the better solutions to you. So, how does open banking work?
Okay, so let's explain this with analogy here, okay? Open banking is, as you can see, a restaurant. So imagine we have a restaurant here, okay? So you can buy tomatoes in the street market, in the local store, in the wholesale store, okay? But imagine if you don't have open banking. It's like your restaurant has only access to one store, so the quality of your products reflects the quality of the tomatoes you have in that store. For example, if a client likes a very sweet sauce, they will have the sauce that that store can provide, right? However, with open banking now, it's like you now have the opportunity to understand the quality of the tomatoes from the whole market. You can compare the tomatoes from your store with tomatoes from the local store, the wholesale store. So now you have the chance to provide the best products for each customer. So here is a very a change of mindsets in how we achieve more value for our customers. And getting back to reality here, as you can see this chart, these represent the phase of implementation in this project and which data we have in each phase. So in phase one, we have our public data. That is a pilot. We need to understand and prove the concept of, okay, we can share data between banks, which is not very easy because each bank has his own infrastructure, ways to use data, right? So once you have this enabled, then we bring phase two, that is customer data. So now we share personal data, banking account data, credit cards, and so many other types of data. And of course, in this phase, the data is only shared if the customer allows us to read and for how much time. For example, I can allow Bradesco just to read credit cards data for 6 months. And after this time pass, I need to delete everything, do it to GDPR, okay? So it's very safe. Then we have phase three, that is PIX in Brazil, and it's the same as FedFlow that are being implemented here in US, okay? And then we are now discussing phase four that talks about investment data, anticipation, or insurance, and so on. Okay, Fabio, so let's explain further how we get there.
Yeah. Well, we are a big company with many customers, and now we have seen more data to improve our solutions that we ever seen before. So how can we provide our products using the insights provided by open banking data? Using data democratization. Our goal here is to create an analytical ecosystems that help business managers and analysts to create valuable products for our clients in a faster time. Here we can see the overall architecture of the solution that we have made. This is our macro-analytical architecture, and we will explore these highlighted points with you now. By the way, we are using OpenAI, and we'll discuss this later in this session. But first, let's bring an overview of our architecture. On the left, we can see the data ingestion process from the other financial institutions and our on-premises process. All those data are handled and enhanced in our analytical environment, mainly built with Databricks. We use the Medallion structure of data to get value of customers and sharing data distant with third parties, creating dashboards for business strategies, Salesforce campaigns, using credit cards and credit engine solutions like FICO and many other applications. Well, first of all, data ingestion, since everything starts with ingestion, how can we do that, Pedro?
Okay, let's explain now. Okay, so as we talk about open banking here, I will explain how you read data from other banks. So this process can be explained in 4 steps, as you can see. So first of all, we have data from in other cloud solutions. We read this data using microservices and kept this data in a Cosmos DB that is a no-relational database from Azure, for those who not know, okay, with low latency. And this data is kept in JSON files in a transactional store, okay? So to avoid concurrency with this transactional format, we use a native solution from Azure that is storage, analytical store, right? So we enable this in the Cosmos DB, and this data is replicated to a columnar store. So with this, we read data and fill our Lakehouse solution. So let's explain how our Lakehouse solution works in Bradesco. And to explain this better, I'll use the delivering credit cards limit case that we have, okay? So you can see we have our Cosmos DB as source here, and also we have our on-premises data as source. Our on-premise data is very structured because it's financial data, and our Cosmos DB source for other banks is semi-structured because here we have the variability from different sources of data from different banks, so each bank has its own way to share, like credit card limits, okay? So we read this data to our bronze layer as default from medallion structure, and we have this everything orchestrated in a single workflow. And then when I have our silver and gold layers, we use a DLT process in order to have a more simple way together, right? Because it's very easy, we need to have control tables and so on. So as you can see here, we have a JSON file. I will show this before. In the source. So once you go to our silver layer, we need to split this data because it's very hard. We need to have a lot of nested data in our bronze layer. And then we go to our silver layer, we split this data, organize, have a more flattened way together. And then we go to our gold layer where we have matches of other banking data with our internal data. And what's the example here? Let's say you have 5K of credit card limits in your Bradesco account, and you have 12K in other green bank, okay? We can just improve your credit card limits to 12K. Yes, we can, because you know we have a highest credit card limits in other company. However, it's not always a good idea. We need to have some evaluation if that customer has the potential to pay the bills, right? It don't get some trouble for them and for the bank, right? So we use our internal score that we created and match this data with the other bank limits. And then we match this to have a view of those clients that can receive an upgrade and send this data to Salesforce using an SFTP solution that is a very safe way to send data to Salesforce. Okay, so this is just a brief view of our technical side. So in bronze layer, you can see a column with a very nested structure. And in the DLT block here, you can see we split in this one table into 4 tables and have a more clear view of our data. And of course, we are already using slow change image type 2. That is a feature enabled in Databricks where you can keep track the history of the changes in the columns, and of course, using expectations to have a good data quality in our data sets. Okay, so as you can see here, we ingest our data, but we need to organize. So here where we get our data mesh, because in Bradesco, we are guided by data mesh. So we have organized our data into 8 data domains because we have a lot of data. For example, I keep everything about credit card transactions in Transact, and I keep everything about insurance in Protection. It makes a lot of sense. And when I talk about open banking, we need to have a separated way to organize this because we are talking about other banking data, right? And using Databricks, we mirror this logic into unit catalogs. So digging a little bit more in open banking catalog, as you can see, we have these 4 main concepts, such as the bronze layer with raw structures. We have our silver layer with more model structures, as I already mentioned. And when you go to our gold layer, we have two scenarios. First, we have a gold layer with aggregated data, such as I keep a table with the highest credit score limit for each customer. I can use this for many cases, right? And I have gold layers with use cases where, for example, I match my highest credit score limits with my internal score to provide some products, right, for a certain use case. And here is a good example for what I just mentioned you, the nested structure, compared with our silver layer, where we have more tables, more relational. So for our data scientists, data engineers, data analysts, it's very more easier for them to explore data, to create value, because now they can understand the data. Because as we just listed, we need to have a balance between complexity and how they get value for our customers, right? Okay, so what's the first step to get there? How we create value, that's very important, right? So the first step is data strategy, right? So how Databricks powered our way to create data viz. So before our new solution, we have this three-step process. We need to create gold tables, that's the first step. Then we need to send this data to Databricks. We need to build our dashboards, and then we need to do a lot of validations with managers. And every time something goes wrong, we need to repeat this process, and so on and so on. It's very hard, it's expensive, right? So now with Databricks, some view features, we now don't create tables anymore. We just create gold views or just data frames. We build the dashboards in the notebooks. We do the validations while we are creating a pilot. So this process of getting a start view of dashboards is very faster now, because we can do everything at the same time. So okay, now we have 4 steps, but these steps are very faster. And another good thing here, I don't need to just, okay, I finish my process and send my data to Power BI. Why? I can sometimes just keep my dashboard in Databricks, and that is enough, right? So I have more freedom here, and this is very important to create value, because now we need to be very faster in our data production, because the market is very faster, right? Okay, so I have strategy now, but what's the next step? As Fabio mentioned, we are a very big company. As you can see here, actually we have more than 10 companies. We're a group of companies. So it's very natural the need for us to share data. For example, here I will show you how we connect our main banking data with our insurance company, because in Bradesco we have 2 companies to deal with each kind of business, right? This diagram, as you can see, shows our new solution using data sharing. So this yellow block represents our part, and the blue block represents the insurance company, right? Okay, and also you can see this as the effort to get there with any new solution. So before, the first step is we need to create gold views or gold tables. Then you need to send this data to a storage in zip files, and then you use a SFTP solutions, go by Synapse, to send this data to their marketing cloud. So as the data is very sensitive and you need to send to other company, you need to have a very safe way to share the data, right? Then with data sharing now, I just share my raw data, and my partner can understand my data, can build more innovative things, have more freedom to create new products, and we still keep the quality and the safety, because data sharing has a lot of metrics, a lot of ways to monitor every data being shared, and this is amazing for us. This leverages a lot the opportunities to create new data in our partners. Okay, but what we believe that's more important here is business, right? We get value of business, and how we use everything I already told you to go to the business. And I believe this is the more important thing. We have read-only format production environment for business. where they can read our data from the open banking. They can use our dashboards, bring their business insights, and then use this exploratory environment that we create to explore, to create new products such as new dashboards, new campaigns, new credit models with FICO, or new functions in our apps, okay? And amazing in this solution that is each business has its own cluster for personal computing, for segregation of FinOps, because before it's very hard, we need to share our on-premises environments with other business. We have UC governance, so we can control everything each one is accessing. Also, everyone has a space for data testing, and we have policies to avoid any data being sent out. For example, as I already mentioned, open banking is very sensitive, so we need to be very careful sharing data, exporting data, right? And this is just a very technical view of this. We have these clusters for each business units and database. However, the main point here is, as mentioned in the keynotes, we struggle a lot exploring new data. We struggle a lot with SQL or Python because it's not everyone that knows how to handle this data, right? So what can I do? And we understand that with OpenAI, we can achieve a new horizon here. We build a solution where anyone can go to the Databricks, can ask some question. The Databricks will understand if I need to execute something, build a query, read some documentation, and we'll give a natural language answer for us. And I bring a demo for us. Let's see the demo here. Okay, let's go. To start, I just ask, okay, hi, my name is Pedro. Who are you? And the intelligence will explain for us. Okay, as you can see here, he presented for ourselves. And okay, let's do some questions here. Oh, sorry. Okay, now I go ask a very important question in Brazil. How many soccer teams do we have in Brazil? Because, okay, this is very important, right? Oh, sorry. Let's skip a little bit. Okay, that's the answer. So you will not answer me because one important thing in generative AI, that is, I can filter the subtopics because one important thing, this is just an example, okay? But for example, if someone asks, okay, what's the identification number for the customer that spends most money in Bradesco? I can't show this information. So we create policies to avoid PII questions, right? This is very important. But this is a very simple example of this. I can just say, oh, don't talk about soccer. And we just do this simple writing in English or Portuguese. Don't talk about soccer. That's the way.
Yeah. Just for the record, we all know that anyone can talk about soccer in Brazil.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go more technical here. What is open banking, right? That's the main topic here. Okay, that's the answer. Open banking is this. Open banking is, according to documentation normative, is the possibility of sharing banking information and connecting banking accounts from different institutions and so on. As you can see, there's a reference here. So use LangChain here to understand the question and go to the documentation and gives back the answer for us. Okay? So this is one way when I go to text files. And also we have another way. If I go for a SQL question, for example, how many consents, that's the main base of open banking, we have in our database that were conceived yesterday, and group me this by status. That's executed. Okay, that's the question, that's the answer. Oh, sorry, it's very small here. Okay, perfect. As you can see here, this, of course, these values are fictional because I can share this, but we have the answer, very clear. And of course, we have the SQL query used to build this answer. How we do this? We embed our OpenAI just with the metadata. So the OpenAI understands our metadata and build the query. It's simple as that. And of course, I can go a little bit further. And if I go ask to be more clear, I can ask for a chart, for example, and he built it for us. Or if I ask for an email for my managers, he can build it for us also. Just show this for you. OK, this is the email with the the question I made. Here, amazing, with signature and everything. So this is our main solution now. So I can see the main goal here is to get faster, to provide value for our customers. So this is how we made it. And of course, a cool solution is not enough. We need to prove with big numbers. And now we have 3 more times sending data to production, very faster. We now can, oh, sorry, I'm a little nervous. We now can allow our cost segregation because in on-premise environments, it's very hard. We need to share environments with many business partners. So management is very hard. Now it's very easier. We can even understand the cost for a certain process. It's so more granular now. And also, we simplify our data sharing. I don't need to create views, create treatment for everything. I can just sharing with data sharing, right? And go into the business here. As you can see, in open banking, just open banking, we have a lot of applications there. We have 6 business units as partners. We have 200 users exploring data in our exploratory environment. We have 10 dashboards, actives. And of course, we have more than 180 use cases mapped for open banking applications. And as you can see, we are part of the customer history. So this shows how relevant we are. And you can be free to read our case. And of course, at last, we don't get here alone. It's important to be acknowledgements everyone. So we have a fantastic team. There's a piece of each of them here. And thank you for everyone that helped us to get here. Thank you. That is all.
Thank you.